I think most people that watch Greenlight Cinema know by now that Batman's kind of my thing. I didn't grow up really liking Batman or really reading any of his source material. I mean, it was a time when the Batman Begins was like really the only thing close to what we have now. And then The Dark Knight came out when I was about 16, and I was forever a little changed. I remember even trying to do the Joker thing a few times. But this may sound silly to some people. I, however, wasn't really introduced to Batman until Batman vs. Superman, which I don't recommend as a great movie, but it was a fantastic Batman movie in a way because I really liked the Ben Affleck Batman. And now I'm very much into the Robert Pattinson Batman after watching this movie. First off, I want to just go ahead and highly recommend this movie. It was absolutely what I've been craving for as a Batman fan for quite some time. And like I said, I got into Batman later in life, and I've looked over some things like Year One and just going back and reading some of Batman's history and where he came from and everything. And I realized I don't like the camp Batman. I watched a little bit of Batman and Robin growing up. An old show had come on TV Land from the 60s. And it has merit to it. And it's fine because it's from 1960-something. And I don't hold anything against it. If you compare, say, the Batman to Batman and Robin, Joel Schumacher movie, oh my gosh. I'm sure there were people probably going in watching this like, this is just like the Tim Burton movies, I suppose. Maybe all of the Batman connect somehow. Maybe they do. I don't really know. But my point is, this was the movie that I have been craving more than a Batman pizza from Little Caesars. And boy, let me tell you, those things are great for gas and heartburn. But no, this movie was great. It's fantastic. It was a little bit long, and I've read about everyone's complaint about them saying this was such a long movie. Oh my gosh. Well, here's my excuse for that. Batman's such an interesting character that I'm giving him full carte blanche to have a movie almost 3 hours because he's that interesting of a character, and his environment of Gotham City and all the characters that come with it. Gordon in this, Batman and Gordon were so cool as like the little buddy cop team. I mean, we had a lot of that in the Dark Knight trilogy. But in this movie, it was like super hammered in. It felt like that they were like buddy cop. I like how this movie didn't waste its time on an origin story. It just was like the Tim Burton movie in some ways. He's already been Batman, but he gives us his little noir thing, 2 years in Gotham, October 31st. And I thought that was cool. And at first, I'm not a gothic person, but I think Batman can pull off the whole gothic thing. And this reminds me of the show Gotham a little bit. And I love how we have Lieutenant Gordon, not Commissioner Gordon. I don't know if anyone caught that or not. And I thought in this movie that they were going to do like the Dark Knight did, after he saved the mayor-elect.
The clown will keep till morning. Go get some rest. You're gonna need it. Tomorrow you take the big job. You don't have any say in the matter. Commissioner Gordon.
And we're recommending him to be the new commissioner. But here's my complaint. But in Batman Begins, we kind of got to know Gordon a little bit. We've seen his wife, we've seen his kids, and she could not stand Batman. She was like, you did this. Maybe I'm thinking about Dark Knight, because Gordon had to fake his death, which was a scene beat for beat like that in this movie. Almost, only Gordon doesn't get shot, the mayor does, but he was kind of slow reacting to saving the mayor. Gary Oldman was right on point, but he had to make it look good for his family's sake. That's what he said. See, that was like something that was missing from this movie. How we start out, he's like busting people, beating up people, and they're calling him Vengeance throughout the whole movie. Come on, Vengeance, and stuff like that. I thought this was a cool aspect, and I want to say this before I forget about it. We see Batman 95% of the whole movie. Like, if a kid was watching this and you just had it on subtitles, they would be, I think, mildly entertained, because Batman is on screen the entire time. He's maybe Bruce Wayne 2 to 3 times in this movie, and I'm okay with that. And at first I was like, well, that would be kind of weird or maybe campy in some ways. No, not in any way, shape, or form it was campy. Like, I remember reading in 2017, Ben Affleck's going to be in this movie called The Batman. Maybe he's going to be directing it. Now they're getting a guy named Matt Reeves to direct it. Now Ben Affleck's dropping out. Now Robert Pattinson signed some type of deal that he's going to be Batman. I remember reading a lot of this stuff. And I think my first reaction to this trailer is up on YouTube, on Greenlight Cinema's early stuff. I have been very excited about this movie for a very long time. And I loved how, like, Riddler was such a small part of this movie that I almost forgot about him in some points. But I gotta say, I loved how in the Zodiac thing, that was kind of neat. But, like, this is very much a noir, crime thriller, sleuth type thing, because it's like so many like double crosses, and then we got like a big fight scene in the bad guy's office, and I loved it. Stuff Batman does so much detective-y type stuff, and I love and crave that. It's a funeral, and like that was one cool detective-y thing. He says, I gotta go to this. Alfred's like, Bruce Wayne's making an appearance. And he's like, well, I know how much, the perp loves to come back to the scene of the crime, kind of like a detective. And I believe the Riddler is there, because we get this like real blurry visual. They kept showing Carmine Falcone's operation, and it was very Batman Begins, like location wise, and it may be the same place. To a point, this kind of reminds me of Batman Begins a little bit with The Dark Knight, and it was like kicked up with The Dark Knight Rises. I guess Matt Reeves was paying homage to the Batman films previous to this. I loved how he was so adamant about the whole no guns thing in this movie still. Like, that was my biggest takeaway with the Ben Affleck thing.
I'll kill her! Believe me, I'll do it!
I believe you. It's okay. I'm a friend of your son's.
I figured. The cape?
But this is still a young Batman where things like he's still blown away by corruption. I know none of this is going to track right away exactly, but there's so many good little parts. I'm just trying to dissect it all in my mind after Alfred's recovering from getting blown up. That was interesting about Martha. I never knew about Batman's mom being kind of, maybe that's in another comic book or something. I don't know. That his mom's got like issues, and like Batman's dad cared about. Batman's like, he just cared about his political aspirations. My dad didn't, and Alfred is like, no, it wasn't about. I'm gonna turn Michael Caine. Like, it wasn't for his political aspirations, Master Wayne. You understand? It was for you. It was for your mother. Your father made a poor choice with Carmine Falcone, a choice that he would use on him. And I was like, man, as smart as Thomas Wayne was, how did he not see that a bad guy like Carmine Falcone would try and find just the littlest amount of dirt to use on him, right? I don't know. And he even tries to do it with Batman. I think to a point, Carmine has his own suspicions that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same person. But this movie just did not waste any time. I think the title suits this movie perfect. It's like the Joker. We got a whole little thing about the Joker. Here's the movie about the Batman. Not Bruce Wayne, not Alfred, not a little bit of Commissioner Gordon, but we don't know that if Commissioner Gordon's got, you know, a wife and kids like we did in the Dark Knight movies. And I love, this was like watching like Sopranos, True Detective. It's funny I say True Detective, because Colin Farrell was amazing in season 2 and amazing as the Penguin.
I got you! Take that, you friggin' psycho! I got you!
And you know, True Detective gets a lot of credit, but no one ever talks about how wonderful season 2 is. And I just want to say on the record, it's my favorite season, possibly. I don't know. I love Matthew McConaughey, and I heard he's going to be Two-Face. I don't know. They have not yet confirmed or denied it, but that'd be kind of interesting. Colin Farrell, though, was so interesting as Oswald. I loved how he was like, I'm going to spray your blood right here. Will you call me a rat? I mean, he was like Tony Soprano, the Penguin, totally fine with it. We got a great Penguin in this. Colin Farrell sold me. And I want to say this. I bet people's already said this. He reminded me of James Gandolfini, like Penguin gangster, mobster. I loved it. The club and everything was like the bada bing. In this movie, its pacing elements are slow. The car chase is way too slow with him and the Penguin. It's like, go ahead and get to the part where he's like, I got you. I waited and waited and waited. And it looks cool. It's raining and it's like red looking. The Penguin does some type of maneuver, makes a tractor and trailer flip over. Like, this car looks like just a car. It doesn't even look like a Batman car. But you get him in the middle, you get him in this car, he starts driving it, knocking over stuff, knocking over Penguin, and then like him like, like screaming to get to Alfred. I'm like, I loved it. Batman shoots out with flames and rams him. I'm like, yeah, I had goosebumps at this point. I wanted to start clapping like a child. I was like, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. Cut to an even crazier great scene. We have Batman realizing somehow that Alfred is going to be exposed to a bomb. By the way, no one can play Alfred in my mind better than Michael Caine, and Jeffrey Irons almost got it.
Alfred.
Well, I'm sorry for listening in, but I've tracked the Russians' phone to a warehouse near the port. You're locked onto it.
I don't deserve you, Alfred.
No, sir, you don't.
Like, everyone was fantastic. Gordon, Robert Pattinson, Batman, you know, everyone was fantastic. Colin Farrell, but like, Alfred fell short to me. I liked Alfred as about as much as I could, but I didn't buy his and Bruce's relationship. I don't know, like, I think there's a relationship there to be developed. And there's some, like, old lady, like, living in the Wayne house. They look like they live in a townhouse. I forgot what her name is, but he calls her on the phone. She's like, oh, yes, Bruce, I was going to tell you that I was been calling you for a little bit now. Something terrible has happened. And they show, like, this in slow motion of Alfred using his letter opener to open up letters. And, oh, this is addressed to Batman. I'll open it anyway. Oh, no, it's about... And I did get a tear. I was like, oh my gosh, we killed Alfred while Batman's so young. I might come to expect this in like the sequel, if they make one, which I think they are. You know, the Selena Kyle thing to this was really cool. Spoilers, her dad is like Carmine Falcone. I did not see that coming. Found that very cool. but we're getting told this literally through Batman's eyes, and that's where I want to start talking about the contact. I love the little contact scene. He has these little contacts that he wears, and so he can remember, and he records stuff, and like, so his contacts are like little cameras that he gets to like look at later, and he gets Selena to wear them, and it was the most neatest scene. It reminded me of something from like the Tim Burton Batman, because like he's kind of like trying to work up the frequency, and it's like, he's like, are you hearing me? Can you see me? And she's like, and she's like, oh, I got you. I see you. And like, it's like so James Bond type thing, like very detective-y, very cool. Like Batman fighting mobsters should just always be in this universe, which I feel like that would get boring. And I don't want to give out all of this movie. I'm probably just rambling, but like, I love the when they're introducing things at the end that like Gotham's flooding, right? I guess like Gotham Harbor's like leaked into like, they're like, go Gotham Square Garden, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's supposed to be like Madison Square Garden. I've never seen Gotham so big in my entire life. It's like the size of Metropolis, or like, I don't know, like Canada. It's like a whole country, it felt like. Toward the end, when like it starts to flood, I'm like, how campish would it be to see Aquaman like coming in to help Bruce, and then Aquaman be like, bodacious, radical dude, dressed up like a bat, cool. I don't know, something stupid. And just, but I really had thought about that. I'm like, that could possibly be, I was trying to picture this Batman next to like Flash, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and Cyborg Man, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I think I like this Batman. Like I said, he's like a year one Batman where he's just fighting mobsters and stuff like that. Keep it on this level, please. I love the whole like double cross, like the riddles and like the little mazes, you know, got to get to this, the thumb drive, we got to find this to get to this. A lot of MacGuffin type stuff. It was just so neat. The story, that's why I excuse this movie for being as long as it was, because, you know, outside of Batman, DC's really boring, I think, in my personal opinion. I love Batman, as everyone can tell. I even have my kids' toys out, along with my toys out. And Batman, Gotham City, all of it's great. It's fantastic. This started out, he said it was October 31st or whatever, and it's raining. And I love the whole tortured soul aspect being played up. Like, I loved what I was watching. It was action where it needed to be, detective-y stuff where it needed to be, and told the story exactly how I wanted it to without me predicting too much. That was my problem with Ghostbusters. I predicted everything that was going to happen. Because why? Because it's just a remake almost of the 1984 movie. I'm almost fine with that though. I am. Spider-Man 3? Yeah. We got all these memes. Ha ha ha. Peter's funny. Alright, now it's like a really sad movie. So what's Pete gonna do now? He has nothing, nobody, nothing. And then this, ironically, a DC movie, leaves you with a little bit of hope. At the end, you know, Batman's like, we will rebuild. Things will get better. Things might get harder in the other parts of Gotham because Gotham's 200 miles and really giant. And I mean, like, it's comically large. Matt Reeves gets the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman. Bruce Wayne, a persona. Batman, his real self. He's tortured. He doesn't want to see Gotham hurt. Like Lena says to him at the end of the movie, I see that you're already married to somebody. Talking about the city being Gotham. That is so Batman. This movie got Batman right. I love it. I really do. I give Matt Reeves full carte blanche to make whatever he wants to with the rest of these films. I know he knows what he's doing. I want to continue this review on a positive note, and then I don't want to run over and keep talking about how great this movie is and giving out all the fantastic little plots away. They have some, you know, little bit of rough scenes in case you're wondering, but they don't show like full detail. And I appreciate that. It's just hints and nods and little visuals, but they're very vague at anything real, like supposed to be horrifying, disgusting, nothing. It's not campy, it's nothing like that. This is not Christopher Nolan, this is Matt Reeves, the Batman. It gets, for this movie critic, 2 thumbs up. Please go check this movie out. I highly recommend it. It's not going to be on HBO Max until about April 14th, I think. That's not too far away, but it's a little long way. I recommend you go see this movie. It's really good. Please comment and tell me what you thought of this movie. I want to know what everyone thought of this movie. I've seen so many mixed comments that this was the worst Batman movie ever. I love this movie. Absolutely fantastic. I don't want to say any more good things about it and give it this much high praise, but I never walked away so satisfied from a movie. And thank you very much for watching my review, and can't wait to do some more. All right, guys. Okay, thanks. Bye.